Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video we're going to be continuing with our 3 Rideamatics project, and specifically we're going to be doing some work on the electrics for the green 1961. Now while you're watching the intro, we're going to get this moved so that it's closer to the heater because it's very cold today. We are over by the heater now, so sorry about the background noise, but we're prioritising being warm over a little bit of background noise today. Now we've got a few things ready today to help us out. We have a battery ignition coil because we're converting this tractor to battery ignition rather than the original magneto, as we have been doing with the other 2 electric start Rideamatics in this project. We also have a battery ignition switch as well, which will replace this toggle switch that is currently on the tractor. That will look much more original. We've also finished cleaning up the inside of the fuel tank, so this is ready to go on today, and this will be mounted at the same time as the coil, because the coil will be mounted to one of the fuel tank straps, and it's going to be going in the back right corner hole, so that will put the coil all the way back here somewhere, which will keep it nice and out of the way. However, you can see all the terminals of everything when it comes to the fuel tap, or the terminals on here are all pointing in generally the same direction, but hopefully with some cable ties we can make sure everything is properly separated. Something else we've got to kind of calculate or make sure we get right is how far forward this fuel tank is, because if it's not right then the hood won't fit properly on top of it. And luckily we still have our blue 1961 Rideamatic in here at the moment, so we can use that to do some measurements on to make sure we get that right as well. And we have plenty of reels of cable, so we have everything we need to do these wiring jobs and fitting up the fuel tank again. The first thing we're going to do today is replace the ignition switch, because we have some wiring to do there when it comes to taking a positive wire from the push button and then putting another wire on it that will go to the coil, and we think that will probably be easier without the fuel tank and coil both mounted. So try and get some pliers on this and give it a turn to loosen that off. Which that is, there we are. How this had been set up in the past with the magneto ignition was you had this earth wire that just goes up to there, which seems to have a hole in it actually, and then you still have this wire, which I think probably comes from the magneto ignition coil. But anyway, that's gone now. Try and clear up some of the rusty stuff on these surfaces quickly, just with my gloves. There we are, and we'll see whether this is going to mount nicely in here or not. Should do. And now I need to grab a spanner and just make sure that this is mounted vertically, and then that will be pretty much it for switching over the ignition key. Much easier on a 1961 than our 62s. We've fastened down our new ignition switch, very happy with that, and put our numbered key ring on there as well. Now if I get that out of the way, you can see we've also bent the terminals a little bit, because while if you were standing next to the tractor you wouldn't be able to see the terminals or the wires that go on them, if you're looking at it from this kind of eye level, I think it'll look a bit cleaner if the wires are kind of at an angle going straight that way rather than down, and then a big bend to go towards the push button, which is the wire that I'm now going to make. We have already taken the nut off of here and got the crimp ready. Just need to strip the end of this wire quickly. Give that a bit of a twist. There we are. Put this on here. There we go. And pushed it out a little bit there. And into the crimping tool. And now I'll try it again. There we are. That is that crimped. Tug test, that's not going anywhere. And this is now ready to be mounted on there permanently. However, before we do that, we will cut this to length and put the spade on the other end to go onto the ignition lock. So we have that wire finished off now and connected to the ignition. Now, we were planning on reusing the wire that comes out of the ignition. However, if I pull this out here, this is particularly nasty piece of wire, so we don't really fancy reusing that. Prefer that to go straight in the bin, and we'll use some nice clean new red cable like we used for that other wire just a second ago. And once we've put the connector on this end, we're going to leave the rest of it as it is for now, because the other end goes to the coil, which isn't mounted yet. And before we put a crimp on the other end, we want to confirm exactly how we're routing this around the fuel tank stand and what length it needs to be to actually reach the coil properly. So that's why we're leaving one end undone at the moment. Now, the fuel tank will probably be the next thing to go on after we've done this. We are debating whether we can reuse the permanent positive from the battery lead here, which is going to be tight on the rear end, which we'll show you in a minute, but we think we can probably make that work as it is. Let's push on. There we are. I don't know why that was so stiff, but that is on there now, and I can push this onto the connector here, and for now that wire is done, and we'll just leave this coil of wire as it is. We've just pushed the fuel tank straps onto the tank here and ran a 1/4 die along each of them, because they were all covered in muck and this thick green paint that everything is painted in. Now, when it comes to putting on these Rideamatic fuel tanks, obviously there's 2 fixed holes and 2 slots. So what we usually do is go for the fixed holes to start with, seeing as those are more difficult to line up, and then obviously the slots are in an easier place to see, so we do those afterwards. Now, obviously it isn't that simple for a 1961, because we need to line this up with the bonnet, so the hole for the fuel filler will line up, and then we have to fix the coil onto the bottom as well, so that's just an added thing. And although this is just a nut and bolt job, this is going to be quite difficult, So we'll probably cut now and come back in a second, hopefully with this fitted. And because the old fixings were a complete mess, we'll be using all new fixings as well. The fuel tank is secured now with the coil underneath, and I'd say the coil on this tractor is even better hidden than the one on our orange 1962 Rideamatic. You really wouldn't know that was there unless you were down here at eye level with it, so we're very happy with the location of that. We've also started to feed the positive wire through here. That's going to go to the bottom terminal on that coil, something like that, because it's got to kind of double back on itself, and that'll need a spade connector on it. Then the negative onto there comes from the points, which we forgot to mention earlier, but we put the cable that connects the points and condenser on before we put the engine on, and this has just been sitting here. That needs a spade connector on it as well. Then we will find a way to reach that so that it causes the least kind of obstruction to everything else. That will go on the top port, and then we have here an HT lead, which came off one of our other tractors when we were troubleshooting what the problem was with that machine, and we don't believe the HT leads were the problem, but we replaced them anyway, so we're going to try and reuse the old one on here. Now, you've probably already seen enough crimping from us today already, so we're going to quickly put these 3 cables on and come back to you. We have all of the cables connected up to the coil now, and we put a cable tie on the HT lead just to make sure that it was spaced evenly between the Rideamatic and the starter generator, so that it's not going to get caught up in either of those. And we are quite happy with how neat everything looks with the wiring under there. But now moving to the back, we've put a battery in here, and as feared, this battery lead is too short, so we're going to have to make up a new battery positive lead, which we've kind of started to do here using some not very flexible cable, which is the same stuff that we used on the orange 1962 Rideamatic. Got the right size crimp on here, and we've already put a red heat shrink on there, ready to be crimped using the hydraulic crimper. Now, thank you. Now, the reason that you want not very flexible cable on this is because under the chassis where this is going to be mounted, there is the attachment lift spring, and obviously we don't want this to be pinched by that. So, non-flexible cable will allow you to tuck this right under the chassis, and it won't get harmed by it. And we'll see if that's actually done anything. I didn't actually feel like it was tightening up on it until very late on, so no. Left that last clip in there for your amusement, and these hydraulic crimpers are made of genuine Chinesium, so the jaws don't seem to fit any size wire that we ever use. However, we've switched for smaller jaws now, and hopefully this will work now. It does feel a lot better because I'm getting a decent amount of pinch on them, whereas before they only really started working towards the end, and that is that. So open this up and see if this has actually worked this time. Yet that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Now, we did have the idea of trying to see if we can close up this heat shrink using our workshop heater, which I doubt it'll work, but we'll give it a go in just a second. If not, then we'll get the heat gun out and close that up over here. So you join us back when we're about to put the crimp on the end of our new cable, which we've already run under the chassis. That was a bit difficult, but we thought you'd enjoy watching us struggle with this again. So I'll try and get this lined up on here. There we are. It's not too bad. Two-person job again. unfortunately our heater wasn't quite strong enough to do the heat sink before, as suspected. That should be all good now. And I'll take this off here. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. So we will get the heat gun on that heat shrink now, and then that will be this cable done. Last piece of the puzzle now, and it is the battery earth cable, which we've already cut a length of, and we're going to use the natural curve in the reel of cable to help us with the bend that this wire is going to have. We've already got 2 crimps on there, they just need, well, crimping, and we've got our 2 bits of heat shrink on there as well. So now it's just setting these up in here and doing our least favourite part of this job, which is hydraulic crimping. There we are with that one. And now the other end. Don't know whether I mentioned it or forgot to say, but these crimps have to face opposite directions because one's going on the battery, one's going on the chassis. There we are. So that is both of those done. Now we just need to slide these heat shrinks over each end and apply a bit of heat. So we have our earth cable connected up here, and we didn't do it on camera because we didn't have a clue what size that bolt is. We ended up with 2 adjustables on it, so that took quite a while to get that done up, and we won't connect up the battery just yet. We'll connect that up at the same time as when we're testing all the electrics and mechanical systems before we start the tractor up in a future video. I'm sure we've mentioned this in the past, but I'll mention it again. We have a battery hold down that we made earlier in the project when we were making the hold downs for the 2 1962 Rideamatics. We made one for this at the same time. So that's all sorted, and that'll get put on soon enough. But when it comes to the wiring, we are pretty much done on this. The next video will be putting the engine back together, flywheel, pulley, all the cowling, that kind of stuff on there, and following some suggestions in the comment section of one of the last videos, which we believe are very sensible suggestions. People said that we should measure the crankshaft to make sure that it's actually straight and not bent, following this engine's previous flywheel exit that it had. So that's something we'll be doing in the next video on this project as well. But for now, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.